Hi, everyone. I am Alona Lapari, best-selling author and then host of the Life School MasterClass show, and also founder of the Life School, where we help mission-driven entrepreneurs globally scale to 6 and 7 figures organically so that they can build their mission-driven empire aligned with their purpose without hurting their income and impact. On our show today, I have another beautiful guest, Helen Norbury, where we'll be speaking about her entrepreneurship journey and also rewriting your story so that you can live a life of freedom, passion, and confidence. Helen, thank you so much for finding time to be on our show today.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
The pleasure is absolutely all mine. So let's start with an introduction. Tell us a little bit more about what you do and why you do it.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Helen Norbury, as you kindly introduced me. So I'm based in the UK and I'm a high performance coach. I've been a high performance coach since 2005 when I was working in the corporate space across a number of blue chip companies and government organizations in the UK. But actually, my high performance coaching has a twist to it, which is all related to my personal story and why I do what I do. So in 2017, my father sadly died from pancreatic cancer. And then 18 months later, in 2018, my mother also died from the same cancer, pancreatic cancer as well. And then shortly after that, my marriage started to break down and ended up in a really painful and nasty divorce. And so these three life events completely knocked my legs out from underneath me. And I went from having a really successful and, really my career was going exactly the direction that I wanted it to. I was getting promotions, I was getting pay rises. And actually everything in my life was working out exactly as I kind of hoped it would. And it was all going really fantastically and well. And then these events happened. And like I say, it just knocked the legs out from underneath me. And I wanted to really understand how and why I had gone from this successful, high flying, happy, confident person to someone I didn't recognize at all. All these stories that were creating my reality, that were coming into my consciousness. And they weren't just stories from the last year or two, or these were stories that I was pulling up from time, when I was very, very young in my childhood. And what I realized is that for my whole life, I'd successfully managed to push down and push away all the pain and the hurt that I had felt throughout my whole life, things that had happened in my childhood, growing up, my parents divorcing, my mum remarrying, like all these things that had happened that I called normal, and just kind of pushed them away and didn't want to deal with them. When this experiences happened with my parents dying and my marriage breaking down, it really shone this bright light onto all of those wounds that I'd been carrying my whole life. And I realized I couldn't push them away anymore. There was too much hurt to process, and it was just creating who I was every single day, how I showed up in my life every single day. And so that's when I got really interested about trauma. And I started to study trauma and go into a lot more detail as to the impact it has on our brain, how it creates our reality, and importantly, what we can do about it to rewrite those stories so that they don't continue to write our reality. And so I have trained since then as a trauma-informed coach. And I now bring that and join it to my high performance coaching to have a model where we look at mindset, we look at energy, we look at the systems and structures that we have in our life so that we can live life on our terms, and we can create that life and live it with passion, confidence, and freedom every single day. And it's so powerful bringing those two things together, because trauma affects so many people in so many different ways. And being able to understand that and to help a person process that and to really move past it, so that actually what happened in the past. We can't change that, but we can prevent it from creating our future and creating our present. And so that's been such a powerful journey for me to go through those experiences. And I honestly strongly believe that I went through all those experiences so that I could learn this, and so that I could bring what I do with a new perspective and a different perspective into other people's lives, to be able to share that and to really give hope to people where they maybe don't feel like there is any hope.
No, absolutely. And that's exactly what resonated with me as you're going through your journey. I mean, even though it was, challenges after challenge after challenge with the death of your parents and also your divorce, it definitely led you to the work you're doing today. And I'm sure that you are helping so many other people to really start healing those traumas. And I personally also know how important that is. But for maybe someone that might be listening that is not, maybe so aware of, where to start, how do we start healing from these traumas? And do we have to wait when a life situation, a very challenging situation comes our way for us to really discover and really start doing some of the healing work that we need to do? Or is it something that we can do to be more proactive so that we can be more in control of our lives and really design the life that we want to lead? What do you think the difference is?
Absolutely. I think awareness is the big point. Like, first we have to become aware that there's this story or this theme that's running through our life. And so for me, and I know for other people that I've worked with, it does take a big life event to see that, but it doesn't have to. And actually, if you can be conscious enough to see where things aren't working in your life properly, and then we can start to dig underneath that. If anything is not going the way that you want it to, that could be within your relationships, and how you're interacting with other people. It could be around fears, like what are you holding back from doing? And actually, if we start to dig underneath those, you might not call it trauma. Honestly, for years, I never thought I had trauma in my life. I didn't believe that I qualified, if that's the right word, for a traumatic upbringing and life experience up to the age of 40. But actually, once I started to dig into what is trauma and to really understand that it was my response to a situation and what I made that mean about me, rather than I was thinking, it's got to be a big fire or like a big crash of some kind, or some flood, fire, pestilence, something like that, in order to qualify as trauma. What I didn't realize at the time was actually it's about the meaning that we attach to a certain event happening. And so my sister, for example, might not have experienced the same event in a traumatic way as I did, because it's all about the meaning that we attach to a certain situation. So it's really about becoming aware of where things aren't going the way that you want them to, and then getting curious, like, why is that? What's happening? What's driving that behavior? And once we can start to dig into that, then we can start to look at what needs resolving. In terms of when to do it, I'd say, if not now, then when? You know, if this is controlling your life and it's taking you out of the driving seat of your life, what has to happen for you to say enough is enough? You know, if you want to be the driver and the creator of your life, then now is the time to get to the bottom of this. Now is the time to resolve it.
Mm. Yeah, no, absolutely. I love what you said as far as not even understanding or being aware that it's trauma. I mean, now that I personally gone through some things, as well, I realized that that's what it was. But at the beginning, our awareness level is different, and we don't always understand what is going on with us, but we do know that we don't feel right. Some things blocking us, might have all these negative feelings around it. So that's the time to start exploring it for sure.
Definitely, yeah.
Helen, I was going to ask you, how is it that, let's say, people understand and they're aware that they need help and they need some support in this area of their lives? Where is it that they can start? And you said really being aware of the story and the meaning you're attaching to the circumstances that happen to us. But walk us through maybe your process of how is it that we can start, identifying it, becoming more aware, and really starting to rewire our brain and rewire our stories, or rewrite our stories, as you say, so that we can come out on the other side with, feeling more empowered and getting those results that we want to achieve in our lives.
Yeah, for sure. So those stories, our memory bank is held in our subconscious memory, which is a really old part of our brain. And I think of it like a big filing cabinet, effectively, where everything is just stored. But the one thing that is missing from this big filing cabinet is timestamp. So if something happened to you when you were 5 years old, and then that memory gets triggered at some point when you're maybe 40 years old, our brain doesn't provide us with a mechanism of saying that happened when I was 5 years old and now I'm 40, I can respond differently to that. It just replays that memory and goes, aha, here we go. This is that memory that's come again, and this is what happened. And then our brain is trying to keep us safe, and it's trying to stop us being in pain. And so it's teaching us what to do based on this subconscious memory that it's replaying from maybe many, many years ago. So the work that I do is really around helping to timestamp that memory in the right space and saying that happened when you were 5 years old. We don't need to replay it now that you're 40 years old. And you can then start to replace that memory that's not helping you on your journey with a memory, with a point of reference that's much more helping and supportive of the journey that you're on today. So I do use hypnotherapy, I use theta healing, I use some inner child work, I do a number of interventions where we go directly into the subconscious mind and we reprogram the belief effectively at that level, because we can't really access it just through talking about it. We need to go deep into the subconscious and rewrite the belief there, so that when something happens in the future, it doesn't trigger up that memory from way back when. And so for me, it works on many, many levels. So our mindset is the first part of our journey, and making sure that it's driving along the same journey as we are, helping us drive on the road and not pulling us off into a side road somewhere because of the beliefs that have formed from many, many years, the traumas that have created these beliefs. But then there's also our energy, and making sure we're showing up in the right way for our journey each day. We've got the petrol in the car and we're ready to go. And then our strategy and system, so it's our GPS to help us get from A to B and everything that we need. So have we got the snacks? Have we got everything in the car that we need for our journey? And so this is really, it's a very holistic approach that I use. Mindset is a massive part of it, but it's not the only part of it, because we need all these parts together to really help us get to wherever it is that we might want to get to. And that can be in your career, your business, it can be in your health and wellness journey, it can be in your relationships, it can be in your finances. This really applies to every single area in our life.
Mm. No, absolutely. You walk the process so beautifully, and I definitely understand that it's a step-by-step, rewiring and going through all these different pinpoints. And you mentioned that you have so many tools under your belt, obviously through helping yourself through it. And I'm sure so many clients at this point that, gives people those results that they're looking for, so they can free up those areas of their lives and live a more life of freedom and passion and fulfillment.
Absolutely.
I think at the end of the day, that's what we all want. We just pursue it in different channels and different purposes that we feel that we have. So, yeah. Helen, I want to talk a little bit about your entrepreneurship journey as, going through the journey. As you mentioned, we have lots of successes, we have wins, but a lot of times we also have lots of growth challenges that come along our way. And those are really the ones that are really shaping us and really making us more resilient towards our ultimate purpose. Can you share with us anything that you'd like to with our audience as far as how the journey has been for you? Any major challenges that have come across that you like to share with other people, or even successes that you've had along this journey?
Sure. I mean, I've been on a couple of entrepreneurial journeys. So I had a business with my ex-husband, which we opened in 2010. And we kept that going until, it's still going. He still has it, but I left that business in 2017. So that was kind of the first chapter of my entrepreneurial journey. And my coaching entrepreneurial journey really started as I explored into the trauma and understood the value that I could bring to so many people by combining my skills and my experience and everything I've been through in my life that we've talked about. And so this is chapter 2 on my entrepreneurial journey, and it looks very different this time around. So I definitely learned a lot of lessons in my first time. I would say my biggest, sort of strongest message to anybody is about the support team and the support that you have around you. So entrepreneurship can be a lonely place at times. Obviously, all the decisions and the wins and the challenges, everything sits on your shoulders. And so for me, one of the most powerful things that I have in this chapter of my entrepreneurial journey that I didn't have in the previous chapter is an amazing support network. So these women are they're not necessarily entrepreneurs in their own right, but they're people who get me, people who have my back, people who I know are very conscious and on their own awakening journey for understanding their spirituality and where they have work to do as well. And so if there's ever a day where I'm thinking, oh gosh, I'm having a little bit of a confidence crisis, or something's going on, it hasn't gone exactly to plan, these are the people that I pick the phone up to, and who I know won't indulge me in any kind of pity, or they're not those friends who just go, there. They're people who support me in exactly the way that I need supporting. They coach me as well to really open up what I need to open up in that particular situation. So for me, having this group of ladies around me is so, so powerful and really makes the difference. So when things haven't gone exactly to plan, they can pick me up out of that, or help me pick myself up out of that really, really quickly. And of course, they're there to celebrate all the successes with me as well, and just to have fun. And it's a multi-dimensional relationship, but honestly, it makes the biggest difference to me, having that network of people to really ride the waves with. And that would be definitely my recommendation to anyone embarking on this journey or thinking of embarking on this journey, is you don't need to do it alone. Make sure you've got your team of cheerleaders to support you on every step of the way.
Yeah, definitely beautiful message. I can so relate. Finding a supportive community and also asking for help. That's been something that I've had to overcome. Being a high achiever, always thinking that you need to handle it all on your own and figure it out all on your own. And that's just too much pressure. You need to learn where to get help, and how to, expand and delegate and find the right mentors or group of network that you feel most aligned with, and stick to them like glue, because
for sure.
we will definitely
that not asking for help in itself can be a trauma response, because if we have that message running underneath us, like right at the core level, that says, I'm not good enough, or I need to be perfect, or something along those lines, we set out to prove that. So again, like this just goes to show you how many levels trauma plays at, because it can prevent you from asking for help when you need it. And you're absolutely right. Learning to be able to feel safe to ask for help, it opens up so much more potential in you, because you're not trying to be everything for everyone. So it's a really, really important lesson.
Well, that's a great pointer right there. That is a trauma response of lacking of asking for help. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Helen, it's been a beautiful conversation. Thank you so much for everything you've shared with us as far as your personal journey and the way that you are empowering other people with your work and your mission. I really appreciate you being on our show today. And I want to ask you if there is any way that our audience can also start connecting with you further and finding you. Where is it that they can go?
Sure. I mean, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn as Helen Ann Norbury, and you've got my website there as well, helenannnorbury.co.uk. And I'm on all the social media platforms, so it'd be lovely to connect with you there. Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and connect with Helen. And Helen, again, thank you for being on our show.
Thank
have
you.
a beautiful rest of your week.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed talking with you.
Absolutely. And I will see you next week with another show. And want to remind you that this show is available on all major podcast platforms and also available on video on our YouTube channel, Ilona Lepari Life School. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I will see you next week. Bye, everyone.